Hi everyone, in this video I am going to be reviewing a shoe, specifically the Hoka Speedgoat 6. Now you may notice this is kind of a well-worn shoe already, and that's what I kind of wanted to go over. This is the shoe that carried me across the entire Camino De Santiago in Spain, which if you have not watched my previous videos, my friend and I walked about 200 miles across Spain from France and then just across Spain. But yeah, so this video I kind of want to focus on this type of shoe and kind of review it and how it performed, because definitely if you're thinking of doing a long through hike or any kind of intense hike, but especially ones that take a long time, you're gonna want a shoe that will be able to keep you comfortable for the whole length of it, because otherwise you're just going to be absolutely miserable. So yes, so I specifically got the Hoka Speedgoat 6. I know they have, I think, the 7 now, and everything. My friend got a different model of Hoka. I don't remember which model, but hers was a bit lighter, I believe. But I wanted to go with this model for a variety of reasons. And this is the non-Gore-Tex version as well. So I did do a lot of research before I decided on this particular shoe. I had read that, especially on the Camino de Santiago, that Gore-Tex is usually a bit overkill, and that Gore-Tex shoes, once they do get wet, very, very difficult for them to actually dry out. So I didn't really want to deal with that, and also they're a little bit heavier, Gore-Tex shoes. So I got non-Gore-Tex, and they're very light. So a pair of these is about 1 pound and 1.4 ounces. So very light. And it's probably hard to tell on camera, or maybe not. The kind of canvas outer part of the shoe is very, very light, very thin. Even the tongue is very thin. And just the sides, so everything's super, super lightweight. It's kind of like a mesh for the most part, so it weighs almost nothing, which is really good for, your feet aren't going to get weighed down. Unlike, you don't want to go for a full, heavy hiking boot on the Camino, just because you're going to be walking all day and like a big boot's going to weigh you down. So this is definitely a shoe, I would say, for long distance, endurance sort of activities. It is a trail runner shoe, so of course it's kind of designed for that, to be super lightweight, endurance sort of stuff. Now, besides being lightweight, which is one of my kind of main points I wanted to get for a shoe, I also liked this because of the traction. You can see just on the sole here, it has some pretty intense, now of course it's a little bit worn down at this point, but really, really good traction, and just the curve of the sole and everything. So I felt like the traction of the shoe was really helpful, especially going over like mud and rocks and roots and wet cobblestone and things like that. So I felt like the Vibram sole here was it did what it was supposed to do. It was definitely had some good traction. Now in terms of comfort, so the cushioning is quite good on this shoe, but I will say, and my friend had the same problem with her Hokas, even though it was a different model of Hokas, that the kind of arch support on the inside of the shoe, after maybe a couple of weeks of walking, maybe 3 weeks, we both felt that the arch support in the shoes kind of flattened out pretty quickly. And my friend had more problems than I did with her arches, but but even I could feel the difference after a while. Like the cushioning really got kind of compacted, which after many hours of walking per day, you could really start to feel that in your feet, and it is kind of uncomfortable. But I feel like any shoe, to a certain extent, will have that if you're doing that much walking in such a short period of time. So, that is something to consider, like how much arch support is this shoe going to provide, and how long will it be able to provide it. Now, I have never tried any other Hoka models before, just, this one. So I can't attest to how well other models support the arches, or even other brands. I've heard like Salomon makes some pretty good shoes that people like to use for the Camino. So it kind of depends, I think. But yeah, for us, that was a noticeable thing as we did our Camino. But besides that, I would say the comfort is quite good, actually. So what I did, because I heard on various forums and everything that for the Camino, because you're, again, walking for so many hours every day, your feet are naturally going to swell up a little bit, so size up a little bit. So I usually wear a size 9.5. I got a 10, and it was very, very comfortable for me for the entire Camino. I never felt like my feet were being like squished into this shoe, or they didn't have room to breathe. Like, the shoe is very breathable, it's flexible, yeah, so overall, except just for the arch thing, really good shoe in terms of actual comfort. Let's see, there was one day now in terms of like what happens if it does rain, if his shoes do get wet because they're not Gore-Tex. There was one day where it rained just the entire day. So by the end of the day, my shoes were absolutely, totally soaked, just like a sponge, just soaked. But they dried so fast. I took them off at the end of the day, and I blow dried them a little bit with like the hotel blow dryer. But I didn't blow dry them for probably more than 20 minutes, and then overnight, just let them rest. And then in the morning, they were almost entirely dry. So I would say that Gore-Tex is pretty much unnecessary, for most situations, because we went in the off-season as well of the Camino, October to November. So it was definitely a rainier season to begin with. So I feel like if you did the Camino in, say, the summer, where it rarely rains, you wouldn't need Gore-Tex at all. Like, that wouldn't even be an issue. But yeah, so it is very nice to see how fast the shoes dry, because hiking in wet shoes is very, very uncomfortable. But yeah, so that was a pleasant surprise. Other than that, they are vegan, so for the vegans out there, vegan shoe, also made of recycled materials, so that's a bonus. They are expensive. They're Hokas, of course, so Hokas are going to be kind of on the more expensive side. I believe I got mine, they were 100 something. I want to say like 120 when I got them. But now I think they're a bit more affordable just because they have the new model of the Hoka Speedgoats out there now. But yeah, and they have a lot of different colorways, for those who, care about colorways. But yeah, there was no part of wearing the shoes on the Camino that I felt like, oh my god, I hate these shoes, like I wish I had bought something else. No, these shoes performed really well. I'm glad I chose trail runners instead of like a more heavy like hiking boot or shoe. I'm glad I didn't get the Gore-Tex. Yeah, I feel like it really did well for like the long walks and endurance, that the Camino requires. Yeah, and then the question of would I buy it again, which I've considered. I do really like the shoes, and I would consider buying them again, but I also am curious about how other similar shoes kind of measure up. So maybe something from Salomon or a different model of trail runner, just to see, because again, I would say like, these shoes are kind of the first and only so far shoes that I've bought that are like specifically like an intense type of shoe. They're not just like, oh, sneakers. It's just like an actual real like shoe that you need for an important expedition of some kind. In this case, the Camino De Santiago. But yeah, so I definitely feel like it performed well for what I needed it to do, which was to cross Spain successfully. And I had broken it in a little bit beforehand, before we went to Spain. My friend and I, when we were working in Yellowstone National Park, we did some hikes there. And I really feel like there was no break-in period, like, you know, when you buy new shoes and it's like kind of stiff or kind of whatever. These shoes were pretty comfortable right off the bat. Yeah, we did plenty of hikes, so they were broken in a little bit. And the other thing, the question of blisters, I fortunately did not get any blisters on the Camino de Santiago, and I'm not sure if that is thanks to the shoes themselves, or the socks I wore, or what, but I didn't get a single blister. Meanwhile, my friend got, it seemed like a blister every day, a new blister. And she would switch between her Hokas and a pair of hiking sandals. She would wear socks with the sandals, but so I don't know if it was, again, because of her shoe that caused the blisters, or maybe, you know, who knows, but for me at least, and that's not to say that the Hoka Speedgoat will not give you blisters, because I'm sure it has given plenty of people blisters, but for me it did not, and maybe it was also because I sized up, but who knows, the world may never know. But yeah, so they were very comfortable for me. Fortunately, I didn't have any significant problems with them. And yeah, even now, even after hiking across Spain, hiking through Yellowstone, they're still like really in good shape. The only thing I've noticed is that the top part of the kind of toe area, this is kind of peeling up a little bit, but not significantly, fortunately. But other than that, yeah, the laces are good. The insoles, the soles themselves, you know, besides just some natural wear and tear of the sole, yeah, it's still holding up. I plan on keeping these for, you know, a good few more years, hopefully, as long as they hold up. And so for that reason, I definitely feel like they are worth the price, you know, even though they're more expensive than, say, you know, like Merrell's or something like that are a little bit more affordable, but then they're a little bit heavier and, you know, might not be as comfortable. So, but yeah, that's kind of my review here of the Hoka Speedgoat 6. I am curious to see if the Hoka Speedgoat 7 is improved much in any significant way, or how even the 5 version compares. But yeah, the Speedgoat 6, really good shoe, totally a good option for the Camino de Santiago or any long distance sort of hike, I would say. Or even, you know, if you just want a regular hiking shoe for regular short hikes. Just a good overall sort of shoe. But yeah, so that is the review here of the Hoka Speedgoat 6. Hope you found it helpful. If you liked the video, leave a like, maybe subscribe. And I make videos about once a week, so stay tuned